Okay, let me continue the proof of the theorem, but before that, please subscribe my channel and support my channel by subscribing my channel. Okay, we saw before we had these, equations, and now let me back to a formula in the previous page here, and let me call it, for example, equation number 1. Okay, let me call it this one. And now consider this term. And I want to change this term to something that just appear in the new form of this term, just xj and x. So in fact, I want to have a modified form for this term. Let me do some computation here. But we note that, let me write from here, mj over 6hj plus 1 times xj plus 1 minus x. Okay? Let me rewrite this term to this form, mj over 6hj plus 1 times, here instead of xj, let me write hj plus 1, which this is hj, in fact xj plus 1 minus xj. Okay, so put a minus here and put x minus xj cube. So if you note to this term, in fact we have xj plus 1 minus xj minus x plus xj. If you vanish this term with this term, we have just xj plus 1 minus x, which exactly the form in the parentheses, and the 3 should appear here. Now, let me extend the parentheses and do some computation. mj over 6 hj plus 1 times hj plus 1 cube, okay, minus 3 hj plus 1 squared times x minus xj plus 3 hj plus 1 times x minus xj squared minus x minus xj cube. Okay, so if you multiply this term in the parentheses, you will get mj over 6 hj plus 1 with hj plus 1 will cancel, and it just remain hj plus 1 squared. Okay, minus 3 and 6 will cancel and just remain mj over 2, and hj will cancel also. I will get hj plus 1 x minus xj minus, so mj over 2 times x minus xj squared minus mj over 6 hj plus 1 times x minus xj cube. Now, this new form, you have to put this new form in equation number 1. In fact, let me fix it. In fact, you have to put it here instead of this one. Let me do it. So let me put this new terms in 1 to get, in fact here I have to do some computation, and let me ignore about the computation because it's too long and just playing with in fact AJ, BJ and something like this. It's not very difficult. You can do it by yourself easily. So just I can write the final result to form S of x equal to bj plus mj hj plus 1 squared over 6 plus aj minus mj hj plus 1 over 2 times x minus xj plus mj over 2 times x minus xj squared plus mj plus 1 minus mj over 6hj plus 1 times x minus xj cube. Okay, this is the result. And if you do some in fact more computation, finally you will get s of x to this form: s of x be equal to yj plus 1. In fact, I put instead of bj and aj from here, okay, to get this form for s of x. yj plus 1 minus yj over hj plus 1 minus 2mj plus mj plus 1 over 6 times hj plus 1. This should multiply by x minus xj and they remain with no change appear here, plus mj plus 1 minus mj over 6 hj plus 1 times x minus xj cube. Okay, now let me, for the simplicity, consider some notation here. Let me put yj equal to alpha j, and let me consider all of these terms as beta j, and also let me consider this term as gamma j and this term as delta j. So in fact I will get this is equal to alpha j plus beta j times x minus xj plus gamma j times x minus xj squared plus delta j times x minus xj cube. And note that we know the values for yj and also for hj plus 1. Okay, and also we know the values of xj. So just it remains to compute mj's. Okay, so if we compute mj's, in fact we have determined the s of x. So let me write here. Note that because the values of yj, xj, hj plus 1 are known. So if we compute mj's, s of x has been determined. Okay, now so we had s of x to form alpha j plus beta j times x minus xj, plus alpha beta gamma j times x minus xj squared plus delta j x minus xj cube. Okay, take derivative from both sides. We get s prime of x equal to, this value will be 0, and here just remains beta j plus 2 gamma j x minus xj plus 3 delta j x minus xj squared. This is true for all x between xj and xj plus 1. Okay? Now compute. This is s prime of x. Now, if you consider another form for s prime of x, so you can write s prime of x equal to, and change j to j minus 1. So we will get this will be equal to beta j minus 1 plus 2 gamma j minus 1 times x minus xj minus 1 plus 3 delta j minus 1 times x minus xj minus 1 squared. This is true for all x between xj minus 1 and xj. Okay? But if you compute s prime of xj from any of these two forms, we have to have, in fact, a unique value. Okay? So let me write something like this. If we compute s prime of xj with any of two above formula, we have to get the same value. Okay, now let me do it. So if we use the first one and compute s prime of x, what we get? Look at here. S prime of xj here equal to this term, and this term vanish and just remains this term equal to beta j, and we know this should be equal to the value of s prime of x if I use this equation. So it should be equal to beta j minus 1 plus 2 gamma j minus 1, okay, times xj minus 1 plus 3 delta j minus 1 times xj minus 1 squared. Okay, and this will be true for all x between xj and xj plus 1. Okay, now if you put instead of beta j the values that I in fact mentioned here, the value will be for beta j, this is this one. Okay, so let me put instead of beta j this one, instead of gamma j this one, and instead of delta j this one in this equation. Okay, so we will get yj plus 1, in fact yj plus 1 minus yj over hj plus 1 minus 2mj plus mj plus 1 times hj plus 1 over 6. In fact, this is exactly this value. Look, this is exactly this value. Okay? This one should be equal to, and let me put it instead of beta j minus 1 exactly something like this, but I have to change j to j minus 1. So I will get yj minus 1 over hj, okay, minus 2mj minus 1 plus mj times hj over 6, okay, plus, and now if we use for gamma j this one, mj over 2, and put it here, 2 will cancel with the 2 in the denominator and just remains mj, and here I know is hj plus, so mj hj will appear from this term. And for 3 delta j minus 1, this is delta j minus 1, okay, this is delta j minus 1 is mj minus 1 over 6 mj hj, okay. And let me continue here, plus let me see, this is delta j minus 1, so it will be mj minus 1, and here it will be mj minus 1 over 2 times hj. Now, if you do some computation and change the place of these terms after some computation, we will get hj over 6 mj minus 1 plus hj plus hj plus 1 over 3 mj plus hj plus 1 over 6 mj plus 1 equal to yj plus 1 minus yj over hj plus 1 minus yj minus yj minus 1 over hj. Let me write something more. For j between 1 and n minus 1, we have this equation. What we did exactly, in fact, I know that I have to find the values of mj, okay, so I keep all terms with an mj, okay, in the left hand side. So I have mj minus 1, mj and mj plus 1 in the left hand side, and also I in fact transfer all the noun values like yj plus 1 and hj to the right hand side, and in fact I have construct an equation, okay, with 3 unknown here, and this is true for j equal to 1 to n minus 1. So if I consider j equal to 1, I will get I don't mention the coefficient, just the unknowns variables. If j be equal to 1, I have m0, m1, m2. Okay, if I consider j equal to 2, I have m1, m2, m3, and so on. So finally, I have n plus n minus 1 equations with n plus 1 unknown. Okay, so for each j greater than 1 and less or equal n minus 1, I have an equation with 3 unknown. Totally, I have n minus 1 equations with n plus 1 unknowns. Okay? So I have a system with n minus 1 equation and n plus 1 unknowns. So I need 2 more equations. I need two more equations, and this equation should be in fact with mj's as unknowns, which these two equations will come from one of these three conditions that I mentioned in the first parts of lecture. Let me show you here. Will come from in fact these conditions, okay? But before that, let me do some change in the format of the equations, and let me do some simplification, okay? So let me multiply the equation, okay, by 6 over hj plus hj plus 1. So multiply let me call this equation as star, multiply star by 6 over hj plus 1 to get. Okay, if I do this multiplication, 6 will cancel with 6, and we have just hj over hj, something like this, hj over hj plus 1 times mj minus 1, okay, plus, and here if I do something like this, hj plus 1, hj plus hj plus 1 will cancel, and 6 over 3 is 2, just 2 remains, mj will appear here, okay, and finally here I will get hj plus 1 over hj plus 1 times mj plus 1, okay, and in the right hand side I just write 6 over hj plus 1 times yj plus 1 minus yj over hj plus 1 minus yj minus 1 over hj. Okay, now let me do some in fact notation, and let me consider this part, this one, as mu j. Okay, 2 is 2, there is no problem, and let me consider this one as lambda j, and also let me consider all of this part as dj. Okay, so what we get, so here in fact I have mu j minus mu j mj minus 1 plus 2 mj plus lambda j mj plus 1 equal to dj, and this is true for j equal to 1 to 2n minus 1. Okay, so note that mu j plus lambda j will equal to this one plus this one. Look, this will be 1. Okay, now for two more equations, first we add the first two equations, I mean s double prime at x0 be equal to s double prime at xn be equal to 0. Now we add two equations, s double prime at x0 be equal to s double prime at xn equal to 0 from here. Look, from here. Okay, but S is something like this. S here. S is something, S double prime is something like this. Okay? So in fact, these two equations means M0 should be equal to Mn be equal to 0. Okay? And finally, I rewrite the equations n minus 1 equations that I computed before with these two equations to this form. So we can write the following systems of equations, system of equations. Okay? The equation should be something like this. I have 2 here, 0, 0, and 0 here, mu1, lambda 1, 0, mu2, lambda 2, 0, and I continue in the same way until here I have mu minus 1, 2, lambda n minus 1, and I have 0, 0, and something like this. This should be multiplied by a vector m0, m1, 2, mn minus 1, mn, okay, is equal to 0, d1, d2, 2, dn minus 1, and 0. Okay, if we compute the solution of this equation, I have in fact m0, m1, m2 to mn, and in fact I have the coefficients of my spline, and this will be okay. Okay, and also I can use, for example, the second or third equations to get other systems and compute something else for MJs. I don't continue to complete the proof for all 3 cases, and if you are interested, I suggest you refer to a textbook like Numerical Analysis Lecture or any other books that you have, and you can study the full proof for this equation. But just we know that this system of equation has a solution because the determinant of this equation is not 0. Let me stop at this point and don't continue to the proof of this theorem, and in the next lecture I will prove some theorem, and I also will show you how you can use this system for finding a cubic spline. Just please subscribe my channel and support me. Thank you.